Wow, is that the intro music?
Hey everybody, welcome to The Hook. This is Keith Butler with my co-host, Jeffrey Lowe.
What up, Doe? What up?
We're coming to you from the 6-Hole Studio right here in Detroit, Michigan. The snow is melting, the sun is coming out.
Yes.
And we got a really great guest for you, an old friend of ours from way back, well, especially a friend of Mr. Lowe's and my brothers. And
yours too.
And mine too.
I claim you too.
Yes, I claim
Absolutely.
you too, dear.
The Diva of Sports.
Say it with that love. Give me that love. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Diva
of Sports.
Yes.
Yay.
Miss
And the crowd
Stephanie
goes wild.
Young.
Crowd goes
Where's the
wild.
applause? Where's the applause? Hit the applause button.
Where is that?
Where's
Don't
the
y'all have
applause
one?
button?
What kind of damn podcast is
Yeah,
this where I
where's
can't get an applause? What's up with that?
Give me
Come on
some
now.
claps and the applause button.
good
Come on, man. Come on.
I'll give you a laugh.
Oh, gave us a laughter. We got a laugh track. Where's the
Okay.
applause button, man?
Yeah, I got to work on that.
Yeah,
Come
you gotta
on, the
work
Diva
on
of
that.
Sports is here, and this is all I get. This is a damn shame.
No.
We're throwing
What's
it in
up?
there for you. Hey, Steph, how you doing, girl?
I'm doing wonderful, Keith
It's
and
good to
Big
hear
Daddy
from
Jeff
you.
Lowe.
Yeah.
It's good to hear from you. How things going
Thank
out there
you,
in
thank
Vegas?
Things are going. It's contrary to most people's belief. It's not 100 degrees today. It's probably in the
80.
low 50s and kind of
50s?
breezy. So
What?
yeah, the calendar still says February. Last time I checked.
Yeah,
so
but
it's winter.
the map still says
Winter
Las
in Vegas. Winter in Vegas is considered fall for us back home. You know what I mean? So it doesn't get. It can drop into the 30s. Again, we are still in the desert, people.
Yeah. Okay.
So it can get quite chilly at night. And there's been occasions where there's been some snow flurries and a little snow accumulation. Nothing, of course, like we have back home or in the Midwest or on the East Coast. But it can get a little chilly-willy out here. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. Well,
So-
look, Diva Sports, we got you on here.
Yeah.
And I like, you
Yay.
know what?
Thank you for having me, and I
Oh,
mean this sincerely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
And
for coming.
you know, it's been a while, to talk with you guys on this kind of level and this platform. So I'm excited, and thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
right.
Yeah, Jeff has been talking about this for a while. He said, "Yeah, we gotta get Stephanie." I'm like, "Yeah, let's get Steph. She can talk a little sports with us and stuff like that, and just see how things are going."
Right.
So.
And you know what I want you to talk about first, Miss Diva of Sports, Stephanie Young. Guess what? Matthew Stafford won the freaking Super Bowl. What do you think about that?
I should say this. I've never been a super Lions fan. I've been a fan of players we've had over the years with the team.
Well, that's why I said Matthew Stafford.
I think with him, he played a long time in a miserable situation, no playoff wins, and people still come out. We know how it is with the Lions fans. They come out, they show up, they show out. So in one regard, I was really happy that he was able to get a ring. Playing, 12 years, 13 years?
Yeah, 12 years with Detroit. Yep,
Yeah,
13.
so, he got a ring. So good for him.
You think it's well deserved?
I'm not a person that, can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't piss on people's dreams.
This is
and
a
hope.
podcast.
Okay, good.
Repeat that. You know what?
I don't piss on people's dreams and hopes and wishes. And that's something he had as a goal of his. So kudos to him. He got it accomplished. And, the move was made for him to leave Detroit. I'm sure, the Ford family,
Those are bad words.
I'm sure
here.
there was a lot of negotiating or whatever back and forth. But,
Negotiating.
Well, I think they would have loved to have kept him.
Well, not
you think?
really.
But-
They sent him with his graces, with their graces. Hey, why don't you go to Los Angeles?
That's what I'm saying. They gave him grace because he put up and said, "Listen, I got to get out of here." But I think
Well-
if they could have found a way to make him happy. I mean, you think of Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Barry wanted to leave a lot sooner before he left.
And guess what they did to Barry?
Yeah.
They tried to bring some people around him. Remember the Scott Mitchell quarterback fiasco? So they promised him some things
I
that
really
would hopefully.
don't want to remember the Scott.
That's what I'm saying.
But you know,
So,
they
I'm
wanted,
saying that to
they got
say-
money back from Barry, though. Remember?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did. They
yeah.
did. And they still trying to get us from Calvin too, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but no. And to answer your question, I'm happy Matt Stafford got him a ring, and I'm happy he's happy someplace where he can feel like he's getting what he wanted. Why he set out to be a football player.
And where he
You know,
feels
that's
appreciated.
the ultimate goal. They want to win championships.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So,
every
good for
team in
him.
the NFL wants to win championships.
Absolutely, but
Miss
they all can't, and they all won't.
Sports diva. Every team, no, they all won't.
Diva of Sports. Now, I'm going to
Diva
have to
of
keep
Sports.
correcting you
No.
on
She's
this
gonna hang up on us in
podcast.
a minute, Jeff.
Okay, I will. I will do it. Don't make me.
All right.
Don't make
All
me
right.
come back there.
Diva of Sports. All right. No, I won't let you do that. Please.
And you got to say it with excitement because there is an exclamation point behind
The
that.
Diva of Sports.
There you go.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
And
Give it to me.
I really want to talk to you, get you on because Jeff said, you heard one of our little podcasts, and Jeff told me you gave us a critique. He said, oh, yeah, Jeff, you sounded pretty good, but Keith
I
sounded
did.
like-
I ain't
Keith
going
sounded
to
like
run
you
away
wasn't-
scared. Come on with it. Come on with it.
It was funny, and I was like, oh, shit, I gotta bring up my game. He said, Stephanie said, you didn't sound too enthused. I'm like, for real? So I wanted to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was a constructive criticism. It wasn't trying. See, Jeff probably spiced it up like I was trying to be a sassy ass.
Oh
or
no. We got a good laugh out of that.
Jeff, I know you laughing, but you know how you are. Jeff probably tried to turn it up a little bit, like, oh yeah, man. Steph said this, said that.
No, he,
You know,
he didn't do it like that. He just said, yeah, she gave
Okay,
a critique.
good.
And she said, but you sounded like you weren't enthused. I said, oh, I better step it up a little bit. Am I sounding a little bit better
Right,
now?
good. You sound great.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you do.
And I appreciate the criticism, the critique. So
Yeah,
it's helped.
no
That's the
Feedback
last
is
one.
always good.
Always welcome. and
Absolutely.
Always good.
And always
And in our
welcome.
world,
That's right.
we're going to get it when we want it or not. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah, that's definitely true.
we definitely going to get it. You know, in the world of media, you're going to always get the feedback.
Yeah, we know we interrupted your game. Who's winning right now? Who was playing?
Right now, it's Philadelphia. Well, all right, James Harden just scored, so it's 71-64.
Who you going for?
8 minutes. They playing the New York Knicks.
Who you
in the
going with?
You know, I've always, as a young girl, rooted for the New York Knicks, so I always kind of feel a certain way for the Knicks
Mhm.
to kind of get it going. My mother was a big Walt Frazier fan. Oh my
yeah.
God.
And who didn't love
What
Walt?
woman wasn't in the 70s, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
in the late
Clyde
60s and
the
70s.
Glide.
Ooh, with the Rolls Royce and the fur coat
Yeah.
and the wide brim hat.
And he's still wearing them fucked up suits. No, he's still wearing.
Now, don't be hating on Clyde. That's his style.
He
Those
still
is
got
his
the
clothes.
same tailor from 1965. Clyde.
But you know
Come
what?
on, get
He
us some new
created an
clothes.
image,
Yeah,
Yes.
he did.
and you know what? We can all respect it and identify it. That's Walt Clyde Frazier.
Hey,
that's
Clyde.
him.
I'm just teasing now. I'm just playing.
No,
Don't be
wait,
talking about Clyde. Don't be talking about Clyde. That was my mama's man back in the day. She loved her some Clyde Frazier.
Yeah, I know how you
He could
feel.
have been my daddy.
Oh my God.
Hell, who knows? He might be your
but-
daddy. Who knows?
No, they never met. Oh, y'all silly.
How do you know?
No.
How do you know they never met? You weren't around.
You know what? I think I'm going to get off this phone and call my mama right now.
No, but you know what, Steph?
Mama, what's up?
I agree with you on that. Because still having that little love for the Knicks. Because I was really happy when Milwaukee won. Because I grew up
Yeah.
a Bucks fan. With my boy
Okay.
Kareem, Lowe before he became Kareem.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the Big O.
Yeah.
Oscar, that was my boy. I'd be out in the backyard playing, couldn't shoot worth crap, but I said, oh, Big O. Did I look like the Big O? They're like, no, but
So
everybody
it
wants to
is
be
just
the
those
Big O.
kind of teams you do, you feel a connection to growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a little girl, I want to say I do remember going to Cobo Hall and seeing a couple of Pistons games.
Yeah.
But Cobo Arena rather. But
yeah. I grew up a Pistons fan.
I think because my mother has such an attraction to Walt Frazier, and we watched the Knicks games.
Yeah.
I kind of always say, okay, I like the Knicks, and then the Knicks were. They were the Showtime team back then.
And
Remember in the early 70s.
And that's why you became the diva, right?
Yeah.
Of sports.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? You think that had a profound effect on your decision to become the diva of sports?
Yeah, and I say this to a lot of men, but I definitely try to encourage young women. It was women that got me into sports. My mother watched a lot of basketball and football, my grandmother, and my grandfather as well. He played semi-pro football, and, they were good friends with Detroit has such a historic place, I think, sports-wise, especially on the high school level. A lot of people don't stop and think about the Easterns and the Northwestern high schools and the
Kings.
the Cass Techs and all those schools that had some really, really, great players that came out. So, there was women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They got me into watching sports. And then watching sports, you start paying attention to the rules. I would read the box scores in the Detroit News and Free Press and learn players' names and learn teams. I'm not a big statistical person, so I can't tell you, Dave Bing average, he might have averaged 22 points per game or something over his career. I'm not a big statistics person, but I can follow the game. I always have since I was a young girl. But I got into football through my grandmother and grandfather, and basketball came through my mother. And then, of course, growing up in the city, we played sports.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood, you had the girls versus the boys or something like that, and and you had real physical education classes back then. Growing up, I don't know.
I wish I would have been your PE teacher.
Shut up, Joe.
We could have played dodgeball. He would have been the one I've been trying to throw the ball and hit.
Me too. I've been trying to hit you too. I've been like, let's play some dodgeball.
I was fast. You wouldn't have caught me. I was fast.
But
you couldn't have caught me.
But did that kind of lead you into getting into like working with Jeff and my brother at Comcast and all that? Now, talk about a little bit of that Comcast time there.
My story kind of started when I left high school. I graduated from Central. Trailblazers, go Trailblazers.
Oh.
And actually I wanted to be a speech therapist. So I started, taking classes at Henry Ford Community College. And after a while, I was like, oh, gosh, I'm going to have to take a lot more science classes. And I started kind of becoming a little disengaged with all the classes. So I used to do some friends of mine, we used to do a little modeling around the city of Detroit. And I had did some modeling with John Casablanca's modeling agency. Mm-hmm. And I learned about Specs Howard School of Broadcasting. So I always was never a shy person. So I kind of married the two. I said, well, I like to be seen. And I like talking. So I went to Specs. And there I did kind of focus on sports broadcasting. I didn't want to do news. I didn't want to do weather. I kind of liked the producing part a little bit, of putting stories together and coming up with ideas that I thought would be interesting or newsworthy. And when the day I graduated from Specs Howard, Dick Kernan, may he rest in peace, who just passed away a couple of years ago, he had an internship for me. I wanted to do sports, and Barton Cable was looking for an on-air sports person. And so he sent me, I remember meeting Richard Polite. You guys remember Richard Polite?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
At Barton Cable.
Mhm.
I went to, and this was before, I didn't know if Kevin, I think your brother Keith Mike Watts was actually the director at the time, if I'm not mistaken. Was he, Jeff?
I don't
Didn't he
recall.
direct the first Sports Talk when we had Anthony Bracy and Jay LeBaron
Oh,
and
yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I remember Watts
Mike
being there.
Cofer? Remember the late Mike Cofer from the Detroit Lions was
Yes.
on that show. Mike
Yeah.
Tiger Price. That's kind of where it started. And then, of course, we did the Sports Talk show over on Linden for several years. And then when Mr. Barton sold it to Comcast and we started doing the show downtown in the old WWJ TV studios behind the current Channel 4,
Yeah.
we were over there for several years. So that's kind of where it started. It kind of started from an internship from Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts.
Mhm.
Shout out to the Speckies. I'm a Specky, RTV 1388.
Oh,
So that was back in 1989.
So with your love
When I
for
came
that,
over to Barton Cable.
well, with your love for that, how did you switch over to what you're doing now? How come you just didn't keep going
in the sports
With-
in the sports arena,
in the sports arena? Why did you flip over to more of the
hospitality.
side of things?
I always did both.
Oh,
Yeah. While I was working with Comcast, I was an independent contractor. So
this
I had
I
to have
did
a
not know.
full-time job.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't an actual employee of Barton or Comcast. I was an independent contractor
oh,
Mm.
because we worked with the local programming department.
okay. I always
So
thought
we
you
were
full time.
contract.
Oh.
No,
I
it
didn't
was,
know that. I
but
didn't know
it
that
kind
either.
of did. It worked out where where it did become full time because we had to produce the stories and edit the stories and go out on shoots and we did the show every week. So it kind of had its full time, attention, but
Yeah,
it wasn't my full time job.
I did not know that.
Mm.
Yeah, so
But
I
then-
always worked in hospitality. I used to work at the Hotel St. Regis. Shout out to the St. Regis. That was the very first hotel I worked in.
All right. No longer.
Yeah,
no longer there. I don't think.
Yeah, Regis
the
is
building
The
is
Hotel
still there.
St. Regis is still
It's still
there.
there.
Yeah,
Oh, it is.
still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't have the same prominence it used to have back
Right.
in the
Oh,
day. So
oh, okay.
I always hope and wish it gets a owner that will really put the true love and attention because
It's a
again,
beautiful
speaking
hotel.
of history.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm,
Then we used to have the GM, building across the street, which is now the state of Michigan offices or whatever. But
Right.
man, when GM was across the street over there, we had all the executives coming there. The Hotel St. Regis was the place to come and meet and be at,
Probably a whole
So
lot
a lot of dignitaries came through there, Mayor Young and a lot of local city, government.
A lot of divas.
Divas.
Probably a whole lot
Yeah,
of-
we had the Fisher Theater.
look,
So
the
the
walls
Fisher
could
Theater,
talk,
we
huh?
would have the cast and the crew of any of the musicals and plays at the Fisher Theater would stay at our property. So
and
I got
that's
to,
and that's still there and still doing well. The
Yeah,
Fisher Theater.
Fisher's still down there. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Steph, tell me one of your favorite stories when you were doing sports with Comcast with Jeff and Twin. What did y'all used to? What Twin used to call Jeff?
Heavy Gable.
Heavy Gable. And in case you all don't get the reference, that's the reference to Clark Gable, because Jeff was so smooth and silky and good looking and all that. So my brother used to call him. Say it again, Steph.
Heavy Gable.
Heavy Gable.
Just one.
Jeff was suave and cool, and we'd go out on shoots and do some of the black tie events. We would cover.
Baby
But
girl.
when you ask
Baby
what
girl.
story stands out, it would be from. You're welcome.
I'm still.
It would be
suave.
from the March of Dimes. Would have the Athlete of the Year awards. The Michigan. No, it was the National March of Dimes because remember we would have. Greg Gumbel would be in town hosting, or James Brown from CBS back then.
Yeah.
And this one particular
Heavy hitters used to come in. That's
year, Hank Aaron
That's right.
was
Eric Aaron.
being honored. And
He came to the studio.
I was, yeah, I stood off to the side to interview him. He was wrapping up an interview with Steve Garagiola of Channel 4 back then.
You have a great memory. Go ahead.
Really
And
does.
I stood off to the side, me and Kevin. He had his camera, and I got my microphone. I'm ready. And there was a young lady with the March of Dimes on their PR staff who was trying to whisk Mr. Aaron off to the next interview or to the reception or something. And he saw me kind of like off to the side waiting to speak with him. And she was like, oh, he has, Mr. Aaron has to go. And he says, I have a few minutes to talk to her. And when I tell you, my face just lit up, and, that to me was just like, wow.
Now
He was
you
like,
had a long
listen,
dress on that day? Or was it short?
That's
What
got nothing to
difference
do
does
with
it
it,
make?
Jeff. That ain't got nothing to do with it. The
Give
point-
some respect to Mr. Aaron and to me, okay?
the
Really?
story,
Come
Jeffrey.
on now.
Oh, go ahead.
The point of the story is that Hank
That
Aaron, as
this
great
man-
as he was,
Yeah.
took the time out.
Yes.
He noticed this young lady.
Yes.
And he said, you
noticed
know
the
what?
young lady,
And I
yeah.
think it, probably has to do with the fact that both of you are people of color. And he's like, look,
Yes,
Yeah.
it
I
did.
am not going to bypass my own people.
I know.
Because this little
That's
girl-
right.
I'm
you
just
know,
teasing.
so-
He's a home run leader, and he wanted to hit one out the park, baby.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Are you disrespecting Mr.
Stephanie,
Aaron
No, I'm
and
not
me?
disrespecting
If you hang up
Mr.
Stephanie,
Aaron.
I understand.
I'm not disrespecting
Thank
Mr.
you.
Aaron.
I understand.
Yes,
if
I'm
you
not
you
hang up-
disrespecting you either.
That
'cause
has not.
I love
Come on,
you.
Jeff,
You know
really.
that. All right.
And I love you too,
All
but I
right,
don't
I'm-
like you right now. So
Okay.
there's a difference. Okay.
All right. Like me, please.
That's
I
right.
love you as well,
I'm
honey, but
sorry.
I'm not
I'm
liking
sorry.
you
I'm
right
sorry.
now.
Ladies
Okay.
and gentlemen, there you
So-
have it. Heavy Gable.
Right. So that to me was just such an honor and such a highlight for me that, like you said, we knew all the struggles that Mr. Aaron went through, the
Right.
death threats and
Yep.
letters he would get while he was chasing Babe Ruth's home run record. But for him to say this to this young lady, and she was a white lady, he said, I have time to talk to her.
Yeah. And he,
Another story, that same evening, Eddie Murray was there. You remember Eddie Murray used to play for the Baltimore Orioles?
Yes. Mhm.
He's always had this dark, imposing, intimidating look about him. So I wanted to interview him. And he, Regina, I can't think of Regina's last name. She was the director of public relations for the March of Dimes. So she introduced us. She was like, Mr. Murray, this is Stephanie Young. She's with, Comcast TV6, blah, blah, blah. She wondered if she can talk with you. And he says no. And she was like, oh, my God. So he was joking with us. So I was like, I said, no problem. He said, yes, I'll talk to you. He said, I see they have one of us here. And I said, I'm the only one.
Oh. You said that for
So
real?
you could, yes, I swear to you.
Oh.
So that's to say, he just said it to me. He said, oh, they have one of us here. So I'm just using this to say, and we're still in Black History Month, which is every month for me, but
yes, it is.
those black men gave
Struggle.
a young black woman an opportunity to speak to them. They were very gracious and respectful. And that was such an honor for me to have them recognize me and just give me a little bit of their time. But when Mr. Aaron said, I have time to talk to her, I was just like, wow. And I kind of, propped myself up, and I had my microphone ready and started asking questions. And, I almost kind of gave her a look like, nah, get out the way, But I was respectful and professional about it, and we shot a little of the interview. And to this day, I kick myself that Kevin and I did not keep a copy of that just to have. And that's some of the things that I kind of am disappointed with, that we didn't archive a lot better with the things we did with sports talk.
And when you think
to
you
go
could
back and look at some of those people that we were able to have on the show and the interviews that we were ahead of our time.
yeah.
I
Yes.
had that told to me by so many people. Um, being in Detroit and being an all-black sports talk program,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was local cable or whatever, there wasn't anything like it anywhere around the country, and I know certainly not even in the state of Michigan.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt.
So I kind of wear a wonderful badge but I believe that I was the first black female sports broadcaster in the city of Detroit. You had sports writers like Rebecca Brown used to write for the Michigan Chronicle and the Free Press.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think who else as far as black women that did sports writing. Jamel Hill came, quite a few years later, of course, when she worked for, was it the Detroit News or Free Press when she covered Michigan State, Jeff? Do you
believe
remember?
It was the Free Press, if I'm not mistaken.
Free Press.
I think so.
So, but there was just a very, very small number, if any. So that's a badge I wear very proudly,
And you should.
And I try to share that whenever and wherever I can, with people. So
Yeah.
so that's how I got started with
And
to answer your question a long way around
oh
to
no.
how it got started. It came from an internship from the Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts.
That's a
Mr.
great
Dick
story.
Kernan.
I mean, that's a
Great
great
story.
story
It
because
is.
because what it tells me, and you probably never even thought about it yourself, Stephanie. You were a leader. You were what do you call them? A trailblazer.
Yeah.
When you think about it, what you did when you did it, like you just said, there weren't that many, if any. You were technically a trailblazer,
And
one of the first.
And I want to say this too. I believe that our whole network of what Barton did,
Mm-hmm.
that was also a trailblazing network and opportunities for a lot of people. He put a lot of people in the industry as far as
Absolutely.
right from Barton Cable,
Yeah.
right into the professional industry of television,
Right.
radio.
You
and
look
so,
at Kevin Bell. Look at you guys. You
Yeah.
look at the Montez Millers, but I not only use Don Barton, but think of WGPR
Mm-hmm.
and think of the Bell family with CHB and JZZ.
Right.
right.
All of us who came through radio and television and cable,
Yeah.
and those were through black folks.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like TV was with Barton, what he did was he gave blacks an opportunity to get into the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and
not
And
just
that's why
get
I said
into
I
it, but
use
to be seen.
WGPR
To
too.
be
Because
seen.
remember, GPR
Right.
came on the scene before Barton Cable.
Right.
oh, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely,
But not
So
just
you had news programming, you had the Scene dance show,
Mhm.
you
Right.
had the Black Business Report. I think they used to do. I mean, so
that's right.
I'm not knocking Mr. Barton. He definitely was a pioneer.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yes.
thinking of too how maybe some of the first people that kind of set us on that path. Like I said, with the Bell family on the radio side with Martha Jean the Queen,
Oh,
and
yeah.
remember we all.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you. Remember how she said in the
I
show?
bet you. That's right. Yeah.
Mother Waddles had her radio program. I just
Mhm.
think about the teen soul reporters. Remember the teen
Yes.
reporters
Yes.
from school? So
Mhm.
Donnie Simpson, and
Jesus,
all,
girl, you are
we
a wealth of
we-
knowledge.
Yes.
yeah, we just have so much history there, and and I want to come home and still be a part of that and make more history because we do our story of Detroit. I try to share it and tell it wherever I go. So I tell people I live in Vegas, but I'm a Detroiter.
Yeah, you know what? I am so happy. When we were talking off air earlier, and you and Jeff and I, we were clowning around. I'm thinking, oh, this would be really funny and all that. This would be a hot take and really entertaining. But this is so much better.
Aw.
Hearing the stories and those events that you reminisced and you brought back, it was just wonderful to hear that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
thank
and,
you.
and
Thank you.
I'd love to get you back on just to talk, just to listen to you
Yes,
tell more of your
absolutely.
stories and stuff like with Hank and so forth. I would love to hear more of that because even though I hung out with you and Jeff and Twin a little bit down at the studio, I wasn't really a part of it.
Hmm.
That was you guys' personal little circle. I'd get down there and do a little freelance once in a while for Twin, but
Right.
you guys really experienced, and he did a whole lot of stuff. Jeff did a lot. You did a lot, and like you said, being a pioneer yourself, which you probably never even thought about. But listening to you
I
talk
don't.
about these things,
You
consider it though.
you're a diva though.
I
You're a sports
When you
diva.
think about it, Steph,
Yeah.
when you think about it, you did things back then that weren't being done. Like Jeff and I were just saying as you were talking, it wasn't so much about uh, GPR and Barton doing this so black people could get that, but it gave us exposure,
Right.
hmm
on
Yeah.
TV, so people could see and, see that, hey, these black people can do some things and do it well.
Right.
And, you
Right.
guys did a
Exactly. We can
hell of a
write
job.
stories. We can, you know,
Eh,
be an inspiration, and
Produce, write stories, write the story plan.
Yeah.
And that was just a wonderful thing to see, man. It was just wonderful, man. I was so just blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
That
and
was
I
the thing.
cherish it, and I do. I cherish those memories, and I cherish the folks that I came across. We kind of have our own little circle,
Mm-hmm.
even if we don't see each other as often. Like Kevin Bell and Tina Worthy live here in Las Vegas. I see them on occasion. Kevin is just came back from the Super Bowl 56. He works for
Mm-hmm.
NFL Films, but here he works for the T-Mobile Arena,
Mm.
which is the home to the Vegas Golden Knights hockey team.
Okay.
So he's their manager of production and all that kind of stuff, and he's a Specky grad.
Wow.
And I think about some of the young people, I shouldn't say young, younger folks like Cherie Calhoun,
Mhm.
who I am so, so happy and proud of. I kind of encouraged her to kind of get into broadcasting. She went to Specs Howard and fulfilled that, and we used to work together for um, a telecommunications company back in the day. And me and her, I was still doing sports talk at the time, and she and I got to talking, and she said, "Oh, I went to Specs Howard." And I said, "Well, what are you doing? You're not doing anything in the field?" She was like, "No." I invited her over to us to come to Comcast. This was when it was Comcast then. And Kevin put her to work. I think she worked as a floor director for a little while, but she was with him in the control room and all of that kind of stuff. And now she's been I think she covered, I think while we were covering Father Cunningham, William Cunningham, a Focus Hope
Mhm.
service, I think somebody from Channel 4 talked with her or something. I don't know if it was Randy Henry or someone. But
Probably.
Cherie has now been at Channel 4, WDIV, for probably over 25 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
we have to pay it forward. And I think that's what we've all been able to do, is connect with people and then just help. Each one teach one. I'm big on that. And I'll be honest, and I know this wasn't where I was going with this, but I kind of like dispelling the myth and the rumor that most black people have, that we don't help one another. I beg to differ. I've always helped black people. Black people have always helped me,
Mhm.
even if it's, "Hey girl, come and use my discount at Saks or something." You know what I mean? It could be something as
That
simple as
helps.
that. But
Yeah.
I'll be honest, and no slight to white folks. I've had some wonderful white teachers and some pretty cool people that I've worked with and come across, but they've never given me anything. You know what I mean? So it's always been from our community. So I kind of go to task with folks when they kind of say those comments.
Mhm.
That's our problem. We don't stick together and help one another. Like, I don't know what black folks y'all hanging around then. Maybe y'all need to find some new black folks to hang around. The black folks I know are about helping and sharing and giving and respect. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. They need to get some new black folks, huh?
Maybe so. But Steph, we want to thank you. I
Thank
appreciate your time
you.
so much. It was so good to hear from you again.
Yes.
And like I said, next time we do another one, we're going to try and hook you up and get you back on here and just let you talk and tell some more of those wonderful stories, some of those beautiful anecdotes and some more history.
The diva stories.
And bring us back to it.
Diva stories.
And just, bring us all back into line again.
Yes.
But thanks again.
I will appreciate that, and thank you guys for having me. And I enjoyed this as well, so I'm looking forward to the next time.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
And this has been Stephanie Young, the sports diva, the Diva of Sports.
Any way you call it.
You got to give me that love. Come on now, there's an exclamation point.
With an exclamation point.
Any way you call it.
The Sports Diva.
Thanks, Steph. We'll talk to you later.
I love you guys.
All right,
Bye.
Steph.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There you have it, the Diva of Sports, Stephanie Young. We want to thank you all for joining us again. I'm Keith Butler.
I'm Jeff Lowe.
And remember, if they ask you where you heard it,
you caught it on the hook. The hook. The hook.
Peace.